See, son? Old legends never die. They just lose weight.
Like a legend and an out-of-work bum look a lot alike, Daddy.
Bandit, me and my son are here.
Oh, I love your suits. It must be a bitch getting a size 68 extra fat and a 12 dwarf.
Welcome to What's Your Favorite Movie, the podcast that celebrates film fandom, our favorite movies, and why we love them so much. My name is Ed South, and as always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me talk about movies. We talk about our favorite movies on the show all the time, but we often overlook talking about our favorite people in the movies. The actors and actresses who become part of our lives, who become our surrogate friends, if you will. And we recently lost a big movie star. I want to bring in my good friend, KJ Anderson. Kevin,
it's
thanks.
So great to be back.
Thanks for joining us on the show. And we are celebrating the life of a legend that we lost recently.
Yes, Mr. Reynolds.
One of our favorite actors. Every time that I text you that there's a celebrity death, your immediate response is always...
Oh, dear Lord, please don't let it be Burt.
And this time...
It was.
It was Burt Reynolds. It was Burt Reynolds,
It
indeed.
was Burt.
Star of some of our favorite movies, and we'll talk about that, and all just the memories that we have with Burt Reynolds. A lot of
memories.
I guess it's silly to say a lot of actors have died recently because you always have a lot of people dying. But I guess we're at the age in our mid to late 40s where people that we grew up with are
starting to kick off. They're
yes.
kicking off.
And it's sad. And for
I've
people...
got a growing number of dead friends on my Facebook friends list.
In real life?
Yeah, it just keeps growing.
Yes, that's a little morbid.
And, unfortunately, Bert's not one of them. But
this is true.
I wish he would have been my friend on Facebook.
I'd like to think he would have been your friend in real life, Kevin.
I would like to think so. I mean, I'm no substitute for Dom DeLuise, but...
We love the Dom DeLuise, too. We're going to talk about all the friends that Burt Reynolds had and everybody that came in and out of his life. So as you know, of course, he died September 6th of this year of a heart attack at the Jupiter Medical Center in Jupiter, Florida. He was 82 years old. 82 years young.
It's a fairly long timeline.
Certainly a productive and fascinating, rich,
very rich. And he also was the escort of many famous
ladies.
Actresses. Yes.
Sally Field.
That is one that comes to mind. Liz Taylor.
Yeah.
Lonnie Anderson.
Who's the other older woman he was with? Dinah Shore.
Right, B. Author. He was with...
was he really?
No, I'm just kidding. No, he wasn't really. Well, I mean, he might have been for all I know, but no, not really. Dinah Shore, because, when you think Burt Reynolds and hot, women, you think Dinah Shore.
Sure, who doesn't? Yeah. Who doesn't? So let's do a quick little primer.
Let's do it. Prime it up.
Prime it. A Reynolds retrospective, if you will.
Retro Reynolds.
He was born Burton Leon Reynolds, February 11th, 1936, in Lansing, Michigan. His father was in the Army, traveled around, moved a lot, got stationed to different places. Eventually became the chief of police in Riviera Beach, Florida, where Burt Reynolds kind of grew up. Played football at Florida State University on a football scholarship. His sophomore year, he injured his knee. And then later that year, he was in a bad car accident, lost his spleen, and injured his other knee.
Wow, that's terrible. I actually knew someone who lost a spleen once.
Yeah?
Stunts their growth, yeah. And also, the first injury Burt received in college was from kneeing Dom DeLuise in the pelvis. So, anyway, they got started early.
I don't even know what your spleen is. What is your spleen?
I don't.
It's near your belly button, I believe.
It's down in there, near there somewhere. But it's. I think it does something with like bile.
That's lovely. So let's move on. That's for a different podcast called "What's Your Favorite Internal Organ?" Is also on this podcast network.
Dates mixed up.
So eventually he gave up football. Ended up attending a junior college where he auditioned for a play called Outward Bound. And was really well received in that and started doing acting. Next thing you know, he's in New York City doing Broadway, Hollywood Calls. Some of his early TV credits include M Squad, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Route 66, Perry Mason, Flipper, Twilight Zone.
Wow.
And
So he really made his rounds of some of the big names back then. Yeah.
I mean, Alfred Hitchcock and Flipper? Come on.
I mean, well, you've got your EGOTs,
right?
But then you've got your Hitcher, which is a Hitchcock Flipper,
right?
So yeah.
I hope the 6 of you that got that joke
enjoyed 6? You really think it's that many?
No. So, yeah, and he had regular roles on Riverboat and Gunsmoke.
Oh, well, that's before my time, but yeah.
Yes, and then all leading up to his 1972 breakout performance in Deliverance.
Right. Yeah, it's a good movie, but it's not one I really enjoy watching. Actually, I've seen it once and don't care to see it again. It's a little uncomfortable to sit through, but it is a good movie. Naturally, Ned Beatty and Mr. John Voight were not to be confused with Mr. Foyt from the Cannonball. Another great Reynolds flick.
Yes.
But, it was a good movie. It was a heavy-duty movie. And, we sort of got to know Burt through a more comic lens in his subsequent films. So it's...
Right. But he was really happy to get Deliverance. He thought this was going to... I mean, it kind of was his breakout role, but...
Well, it certainly put him up there. And, I mean, he's... if you think about the credits that you mentioned before he became before he got in that movie, before he became a large, big celebrity, those were smaller parts in...
Sure.
Standing shows, and I get the, working your way through the industry that way. But yeah, he did make it because now you've got him in there with Ned Beatty and John Voight, who at the time were already well established and known entities.
And remembering that this is a fairly G-rated show, something happens in Deliverance that is extremely uncomfortable and painful to watch.
Yeah, one of the lovely woodsy type people has a very intimate moment with Mr. Beatty, and it's really unfortunate because Ned Beatty, who has such an amazing storied career over all these different movies and TV shows and all kinds of great things, and that movie is one of the things that he can never escape, and it's a shame because it's almost like the role sort of takes away from everything else you've done,
right?
Even though it's not a bad thing, it's just a weird. It's weird how
it
that
can be a
works out.
hindrance. It's happened to many actors.
It's just a weird.
And
thing.
in this case, it happens to be something kind of unpleasant. And...
it's unpleasant, all right.
So we'll circle back around to Deliverance in a little bit. My other last note on his lifelong career was one Oscar nominee for Best Supporting Actor. Do you know what that was for?
Oh, wow. You know what? I did not know he had that. It had to be...
Cop and a Half. No.
Kindergarten Cop. No, that was Schwarzenegger.
That was Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Boogie Nights.
Oh, right,
1998.
How can I not know that? Such a great movie.
Right. One of his... I feel like later in life, Burt Reynolds had several alleged comebacks where he did, before Boogie Nights, he was in Striptease, which was the first thing that he hadn't done in a long time.
I don't think I ever saw that, actually.
It had been 5 or 6 years, and it was a big movie and a big role, and everyone's like, oh, Burt Reynolds is back, and then, nah, not so much. Mm-hmm. And then he did Boogie Nights, and everyone's like, oh, Burt Reynolds is back, and not so much. But he'll always be in our hearts.
Well, it may not have been a big comeback for him in the way that other actors have, snowballed, like, let's say, a John Travolta or a Marlon Brando, who do these big hits and then they go away for 20 years and then they come back and they're back for a while.
Right.
With Reynolds, it maybe didn't happen that way, but the reality is that Boogie Nights was such a great movie and his role in it was such a well-done role that, it may not have technically brought him back, but it certainly put him back on the map of actors.
Yes, definitely. Is that a film you've seen multiple times, The Boogie Nights?
I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times.
I only saw it when it came out in theaters.
Well, it's a very long movie.
This is true. In more ways than one.
Yeah,
wink,
right. Wow,
wink.
It was did not see that coming.
What makes Burt Reynolds so special to me, and perhaps Kevin and other people that I know, are 2 movies in particular. I don't know how most people would rank them. Smokey and the Bandit. I guess Smokey and the Bandit is considered probably his... What's the word? Your creme de la creme of your...
it's the pinnacle of his
of his popularity.
Roles,
a classic, a bona fide classic. And also the Cannonball Run, which was a few years later. Both car chase movies, both silly comedies, both directed by his buddy Hal Needham.
Both filled with a lot of big stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Cannonball Run is a movie that I consider to be my absolute favorite movie. I classify a lot of movies as my favorites, but in the number one spot since I was like 10 years old has been the Cannonball Run.
It's a great movie.
I love that movie so much for so many different reasons. It was on HBO all the time. You grew up with HBO, right? You were a HBO child.
I grew up with it. I remember when it started and what a big novelty it was to be able to have that, those caliber of movies just streamed right into your house, what now we would call streaming.
Right.
But,
broadcast.
Yeah, broadcast right into your house. And, you don't have to go out and buy a ticket and watch these great movies that normally you could never see at home before those
It was
times.
a novelty. Cannonball Run was on heavy rotation for many, many years. And I would watch it over and over and over again. And some of the things I love about that movie, besides all the performances, I mean, it's just like a goofy, like they're not even making a movie. They're just having fun for 90 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And Burt Reynolds is in the lead. If you don't know the movie, it's literally just about racing your cars across country from
who can get from A to B or A to Z fastest.
Fastest. Yeah. It's an illegal car race, so there's many different cars.
People
and there's
driving ambulances and limos and all kinds of weird things.
And it's just absolutely plotless, and it's just so much fun.
And there's a lot of big name stars.
A lot of big name stars, which we'll get to in a second. But Smokey and the Bandit, also just a great, silly, fun movie with Burt Reynolds driving a car around, smashing into things. You also have the impeccable Jackie Gleason in Smokey and the Bandit. An amazing
actor, amazing comic actor.
Yes,
and a personal favorite, being a large fellow, of course.
He was an amazing figure in general.
Yes,
so.
Quite.
This was Smokey and the Bandit. I don't remember watching it ad nauseum when I was little, like Cannonball, but I remember it being on all the time. And that was like on TV, so you could catch that on regular TV.
Back when there were only 5 channels.
Right. So I just remember this movie always being around my entire life and loving them and whatever. And then when I get to college in the 90s and meet Kevin and so many of our other friends, many of them have been on the show.
But not as many times as me. We'll get to that later, I hope.
So then, all of a sudden I find these other people who love Cannonball Run, who I'd never met like anyone who could have given a rat's butt about Cannonball Run. And all of a sudden I'm spending my weekend with like 10, 15 friends watching it in someone's basement. Remember watching it in Mike's basement?
Yeah, but I was going to say Mike Blayhud.
Watching it in his basement and just everybody quoting it. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe all these people. Now you have the internet where you can type in the most random arcade thing, not even just a movie, anything that you're obsessed with, and you're going to find a whole website dedicated.
And you're also going to probably find a lot of stuff you don't want to find.
That is also true. But, it's easy to find a connection with people over the dumbest, silliest things. And here's a movie that I loved for like 10 years, and all of a sudden I had all these friends who loved Cannonball Run, loved Smokey and the Bandit, quoted it all the time, could quote it right off the bat.
How can you not love them? They're just funny movies.
Yeah. I don't know. In 94, they did a series of 4 Smokey and the Bandit TV movies just called Bandit. And they were not very good. Burt Reynolds was not in them. But
that's why.
I remember all 4 of them, a large number of people coming over to my house, like friends, just to watch them, even though they weren't very good. But that's just how much we loved Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, yeah. Anything to get involved with it.
Yes.
To be interacting with it.
And you and I saw Smokey and the Bandit at the Senator Theater in Baltimore not that long ago, which was amazing.
That was a great, that's a great theater.
Yes.
And
we spoke about it before on here.
Yeah, just a very well laid out old time theater, and it's a great space.
Old timey.
It was really cool to see the movie in that way, because you notice some of the things that they cut when they show it on TV.
Okay, yeah.
Not only just things that they don't want to show on TV, but things that, like the whole Confederate flag on the car.
Right.
Is something that when I see that movie on TV, I don't think I ever see that flag. But in the movie, it's like, wow, there it is right there. And personally, I don't care about it one way or the other. I know it's offensive to some people, but that's one of those things that, you just can't. It's just like every movie on television that wasn't made for television, they always get cut up.
Right, sure. And of course, and I think I've said on here before, but I'll say it again, the TV edit of Smoke. I know I've said this before, so why am I reiterating it?
Nah,
Whatever.
reiterate it. Burt died, reiterate
Burt
it.
died, but it's not even have to do with Burt Reynolds. Just when Smokey and the Bandit is on TV, the older cut of it, when they would dub over Jackie Gleason's voice, they use the actor who does Fred Flintstone. So instead of Jackie Gleason saying like whatever,
get you scum bum.
right? It's Fred Flintstone saying like you moose bum or whatever
It's really
silly
nuts.
thing. So
Talk about ruining a movie.
with Fred Flintstone.
Sorry, I don't mean any disrespect to Freddie, but just editing,
I just shot you a look.
editing.
like-
I felt it. Editing movies in general, I just don't like it.
No, but now we can do more on TV than we could. A lot of the things that Jackie Gleason says in Smokey and the Bandit aren't even like cursing. They're just off color, and you couldn't really say that on TV in the early 80s. Now you can say cursing and pretty much
Just
anything except the F word, and that's just about all that's left out of TV. So George Carlin's 7 dirty words are down to like 2 or 3, I think, are left out.
Yeah.
You can't say on TV. So you can see why it's sad that Burt left us, because he was just a big part of our lives. And
He was, he reeled me in with the laugh, that laugh that you played at the beginning of the show. And he, just with his comic antics with him and Dom DeLuise. I saw they were in so many movies together, and I saw a lot of them growing up. And yeah, it just was one of those things where, when you saw Burt Reynolds was in the movie, you knew what you were getting.
him and Dom DeLuise, they were good friends in real life, and they did a whole bunch of movies together. I think we need to do a Burt Reynolds or Dom DeLuise retrospective.
that's
sometime.
actually a good idea. But I would mention that they are another pair of the classic comedy duo, Skinny and Fatty. So
That's true.
A lot of people, I don't think, really give them credit for that.
Even though they didn't do like Burt and Dom meet Frankenstein,
Right.
Or whatever,
Oh,
right?
my.
They did like at least 5, 6, 7 movies together.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of Dom DeLuise and everybody else, I went through the cast of Cannonball Run. Like I said, has so many wonderful people in it,
Fabulous.
and we've lost a lot of them. A lot of the cast is gone. I mean, I guess that happens to any movie from 1980, but
Yeah, well, it is going on 40 years.
all the big ones are gone. So, of course, Burt Reynolds just checked out. But
Dead.
Dom DeLuise,
Dead.
who played Victor Princi,
Oh, I couldn't remember. And
he
was like,
died in 2009 at 75, age 75. So
not too bad.
not too bad for a guy that big. It gives us a little hope that we
Yeah, it
might
does
be
look
around
like.
for another 30
Yeah,
years.
well, if only we could get Hollywood money to support that.
Yeah, okay. Farrah Fawcett,
Dead.
she's dead. She died in 2009 also at the age of 62. Dean Martin, who played Jamie Blake.
Oh, he's long dead.
Where's he going to sit? Huh?
He's
Where's
gonna
he going to
sit,
sit? He died in 95 at the age of 78. His last movie was Cannonball Run 2.
Wow, there you
His
go.
long and storied career ending it.
The only thing him and Jamie Farr have in common.
That's not true. We'll get to Jamie
Oh, boy.
Farr. Dean Martin's partner in the movie, Fenderbaum, Sammy Davis Jr.,
He's dead.
checked out in 1990 at age 64.
Wow.
He had throat cancer. That's
Well.
kind of young, though, for Sammy Davis, 64,
Yeah.
but
Well, they all smoked.
they
a lot
all
of
smoked.
cigarettes.
Dean Martin had lung cancer, so yeah, they both smoked like chimneys. Roger Moore, he died in 2017.
I was going to say, not very long ago.
89 years old. He, of course, played Seymour Goldfarb in Cannonball.
Goldfarb.
Oh, mother, you're too Jewish.
Isn't that funny? And I love that his mother is one of the actors from Fiddler on the Roof.
You mean Molly Pecan?
Yes.
She played Mom Goldfarb. She died in 1992 at the age of 94.
Holy moly.
Jack Elam, I never know how to say his name. He played Dr. Nicholas Van Helsing.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my. Yeah, he was a weirdo.
He looked like he was dead in the movie.
Yeah,
He died in 2003 at the age of 82.
Wow.
We can't forget Burt Convey.
No, who would want to forget Burt Convey?
He died in 91
Wow.
at the age of 57.
His game show legacy lives on.
Yes. And remember Burt and Burt. Remember that game show, Win, Lose, or Draw?
Yeah.
And that was supposedly inspired by them playing at Burt Reynolds' house.
Oh,
the
okay. I didn't realize
the
that.
show was the set was supposed to look like Burt Reynolds' living room.
Well, there you go. See
And-
how much you know.
I know
you learn
everything.
when you.
Who
talk
knew
about
he
that.
had game show producer in his credits as well?
It was hidden under the mustache.
George Firth, who's in Cannonball Run, he played Mr. Foyt.
He was also the dad in Dr. Detroit.
Yes,
Dan Aykroyd. Yeah.
you love some Dr. Detroit.
I sure do.
2008, he died, 75 years old.
Wow.
Wait, I got more.
There's
I got
more?
more of the cast.
What?
Jimmy the Greek.
Oh my! Well, yeah, he's been dead.
He died in 96.
He was playing himself, of
Right.
course.
Greek, what's the odds on this
God.
Cannonball cockamamie?
I remember that guy.
Mel Tillis, he's gone.
Yeah,
85.
he stuttered off into the. He stuttered off his mortal coil.
We need more beer. And then Rick Avaliz, who played Mad Dog. Remember Mad Dog? Where the hookers, man? The hookers.
I don't know if I remember that at all, actually.
When you gonna be a bear, be a grizzly.
Oh my! Wow.
He died in 1995 at age 42. He passed away from the AIDS.
Wow. Well, he
Sadness.
shouldn't have been so aggressive.
And
What
should have stayed away from those hookers,
does
man.
that mean, right?
I got him from the hookers. Where the hookers? And then he does the Nixon impression. That's why I love that movie. It makes zero sense. He goes into that Nixon impression.
Maybe that's why I don't remember it.
When
I
they're
just
in the
don't remember.
hotel, when they all crash through the hotel, and then the guy's like, "You can't park here," and then this guy Mad Dog just goes, "Let me make one thing perfectly clear." It makes
God.
no sense.
Oh my!
Love it.
Well,
Love that
the
movie.
Old-fashioned Nixon humor.
Director Hal Needham died
Dead.
2013. That's right, 82. Kevin and audience that's still with us, you're probably saying, who's still with us? Who's still alive
Who
from
is
Cannonball
still
Run?
alive from it?
Both the girls, Jill and Marcy, the hot girls in the
yeah,
Lamborghini.
the Lamborghini, right, yeah.
Tara Buckman and Adrienne Barbeau. We're still stuck with Terry Bradshaw. He's still kicking.
And now he's doing like foot fungus commercials.
Terry Bradshaw and Mel Tillis drove together, and they played Terry and Mel in the show.
Wow, really. Well, you know, you don't want to stretch them too far.
Jackie Chan, still with us.
I remember, right? Yeah.
And Michael Hugh, who was the other Subaru driver with Jackie Chan.
The big guy who was in the 007.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Jawbreaker,
Yeah.
whatever that was. Yeah.
Right, okay. Yes, so they were in the Subaru together.
Right.
He's still with us. Peter Fonda's in there in the motorcycle scene.
Right, of
He's
course.
still alive. Jamie Farr is still with us.
Wow, look at
And
that.
Jamie Farr has the distinction of being the only actor to be in all three Cannonball
my.
runs, if you
Wow.
include Speed Run, Speed Zone,
Speed
which is
Zone.
an unofficial sequel to
Oh,
Cannonball
my.
Run.
Was Ricardo Montalban in that?
He was not. He was in the second one.
It was Jamie Farr's dad.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also, I never knew this until I was doing the research. Jamie Farr plays the Sheik.
Right, yeah.
What's he say?
He has a Rolls
Camel?
Royce.
No, Winston, you schmuck.
Oh my, that's pretty funny. I like how he's got that Rolls Royce. That's good.
Yes. So there's a character of the Sheik's sister in the first movie, played by Bianca Jagger, Mick Jagger's wife.
I did not know that.
Yes. So there you go.
That's a surprise to me.
That's our segment called "Everyone Gone from Cannonball Run." How was that?
Well, they have run.
Let's take a moment real quick in the middle of the show to plug our social media. If you enjoy what you're hearing, go ahead and listen to some other episodes in the library. Do yourself a favor, subscribe on iTunes or whatever pod-catching app that you use. We're on the SoundCloud now. Do you like SoundCloud?
So you should check that out.
You should.
I'd also like to announce an impromptu contest I'm going to offer. Mr. Ed did not know about this, but I just thought it up. For those of you
Let
listening...
me contact the legal department.
That's right. Get legal in the line. For those of you listening, if anyone out in the listening audience can go ahead and email Ed directly, how many times have I been on the podcast?
Ooh, I'm with you.
$25 gift certificate. I'm paying it
Okay.
right here.
For
We'll do
real?
it. Yep.
Okay.
But it has to be someone that doesn't know us. It can't be anyone that knows us.
So
It has to be
nobody
like
that's-
a legit listener that we don't know.
All right, you've just narrowed the... That's fine. We can do it. favemoviepodcast@yahoo.com is our email address.
So email.
So email if you have not been a guest on this show or went to school with us. I think
Right.
those are
Yeah.
proper parameters.
Yes.
$25 if you can tell us how many times Kevin
$25.
Anderson.
right in your pocket.
This will be amazing.
Uncle Sam won't get a dime of
This
it.
will be amazing. So go ahead and follow us on Twitter at WYF Movie Podcast. You can find us on Facebook. Again, subscribe, iTunes. I was mentioning SoundCloud. We're also on Spotify now, which I'm pretty excited about. Spotify.
I'll have to see if I can spot you on there, huh?
Surely you jest.
Oh.
iHeartRadio did not want us on their service, but Spotify did bring us on board, and we would like to thank Spotify. I guess it's going to have commercials in it when you listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, but I'll tell you, those people at that other thing that didn't want you. What is that called again?
What?
Yeah, exactly. The other ones that didn't want your podcast, iHeartRadio.
Yeah, iHeartRadio.
Yeah, that's a code for I hate podcasts. I guess.
Maybe that's true. Yes.
So,
who knows?
What are you going to do?
Let's go through Burt Reynolds' filmography highlights. He had 186 credits as an actor on the IMDb.
Holy Moses,
yes,
that's a lot.
We're not going to go through all of them, but I jotted down some highlights.
That's only 174 more than me.
I knew you were going to work in how many you have, and 185 more than I have. So.
Well, then you have listed, but you actually have
I do,
more,
yes.
So.
As we spoke last time on the show, was in a movie with Corbin Burnson. Never with Burt Reynolds, though.
I
was in a movie with Peter Fonda. He was in, I believe Peter Fonda's in Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
Oh, well, there
where
you
I
go.
play passenger number 702.
You can get your own little 6 degrees of Ed going on here with... Yeah.
So Burt Reynolds did a lot of
lots of movies,
lots of television shows, which led him to movies. His first real big breakout role in film was Navajo Joe from 1966.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
He plays Indian. He does have some Indian heritage, and he is Native American, I guess is the correct term. I'm sure there's all kinds of incorrect terms in that 1966 movie.
Right.
But he did that, and he was a stunt double along with Hal Needham worked on that movie, who later
that's pretty impressive.
became friends. A Western film called Sam Whiskey from 1969 with Angie Dickinson. I saw the trailer for that the other night. That looked kind of fun. He did a movie in 1972 with Raquel Welch called Fuzz.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember Fuzz?
No, I don't.
The picture on IMDb, when I looked at it, like the little photograph of the movie, is him with his mustache, dressed up like a nun, got some guy up against a wall threatening him or whatever.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, that couldn't have actually been a good movie if Whoopi Goldberg wasn't in it in a nun outfit.
All nuns must be Whoopi Goldberg or Eric Idle. Yeah. So one or the other. That's a reference to Nuns on the Run. Everything you always wanted to know about sex, but were afraid to ask. 1972 with Woody Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say much about that because I'm not really a big Woody Allen fan.
That's one of his older, very, very funny, very, very silly films. He has a small part. Here's a movie. He plays a sperm in it too, by the way.
Oh,
here's a movie that I know nothing about, but I love the title. The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing, 1973.
Wow. Yeah, no, I don't know that one.
I think it's a Western. The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing.
Well, yeah, that's news to me.
I don't know what that means. I should have looked it up. It reminds me
Apparently I don't. So
the Steve Martin bit about cat juggling.
Oh, right.
I don't know if there's anything connected.
Oh my. Boy, that
73, Burt Reynolds did White Lightning, which is the I think the template for the later car crash movies.
Right.
He's like a good old Southern boy.
Yeah, I remember that one vaguely, but
The Longest Yard, 1974.
Definitely remember that one.
You can speak to that. What's that about?
Well, in long story short, this is one where Burt Reynolds is a kind of retired, washed up, if you will, even like kind of a semi-pro ball player, or he might have even been a pro quarterback, but he ends up going to jail, and he ends up kind of in starting a football team in the jail, and they play against other jails, they play against the prison guards, and it's an interesting character movie.
And then they remade that in the 2000s with, I guess, Adam Sandler in the Burt Reynolds role.
Yes,
because when you think Burt Reynolds, you think Adam Sandler.
You automatically think Adam.
If Adam Sandler did a remake of Smokey and the Bandit as the Bandit, we would drive to California and punch Adam Sandler in the face.
Yeah, I don't dislike Adam Sandler, but yeah, there's certain things you just can't mess with, and those are a couple of them right there.
But I am all about a Cannonball reboot.
Oh yeah, I would like that very much.
Longest Yard, 74. Sequel to White Lightning in 76, Gator. Did that one.
Don't think I saw that one.
1977, a little film called Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah, now here we're talking.
Now we're talking. Well, we're talking, but now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Oh my God, that's such a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Just love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. 77, Semi-Tough, another football movie.
Yeah, that rings a very vague
I believe
bell.
Chris Christopherson is in that.
Oh, my.
78, he did The End with
Dom DeLuise.
Dom DeLuise and Sally Field.
Yeah, I didn't remember her being in that because I haven't seen it in so long. But yeah, they're in an insane asylum at some point.
Somebody's trying to kill himself.
Yeah, it's a wacky movie.
Yeah, I have not seen that in a while. I have seen it, but I haven't seen it in a while. 1979, Starting Over with Jill Clayburgh and Candice Bergen.
Yeah, I don't think I remember that.
That doesn't sound like your cup of tea.
Yeah, it sounds
it's a
like a romance
It's a
film.
divorce thing.
Yeah.
But I love me some Candice Bergen, and she was nominated for an Oscar for that. I didn't know she was nominated for an Oscar ever.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
All because of Burt Reynolds.
1980, Smokey and the Bandit 2 with Dom DeLuise. A fun movie, but a severe drop-off from the first one. Not
of course.
near as good.
It's hard for any movie to pick up a second movie.
True. But
make it really good as the first.
I would say Cannonball Run 2 is not as much of a drop-off from Cannonball Run as Smokey and the Bandit 2 is to Smokey and the Bandit.
Fair enough.
Most critics would say all of it is garbage and none of it is worth talking about.
No, it's not garbage.
This is true. Smokey and the Bandit 2, there's something with an elephant. They have to get an elephant from like point A to point B instead of the beer.
The elephant is pregnant. And
yes.
Dom DeLuise is a doctor.
Is the doctor with an accent, I believe.
A thick Italian accent of all things. Of course, he was, I guess, Italian, but it was just kind of funny. He's doing this stereotypical. But that's exactly right. They have to get the elephant from one place to the other instead of the beer. And it takes an elephant and Dom DeLuise to make up for the lack of any other structure in the movie, I guess.
And that's the one where the roller coaster comes crashing down, I believe, too. There's a roller coaster in the...
I'm sure you're right. It's been a while since I've
seen the first one a zillion times, and I've seen the second one 7 times, and the third one maybe 3 times.
Yeah, that sounds about where I am with it.
Paternity in 1981. Listen to this cast. This was all the top billed cast. Burt Reynolds, of course. Beverly D'Angelo, right before Vacation.
I was going to say National Lampoon's
Vacation. Norman Fell. Love Norman Fell.
Yeah, he was actually a pretty big celebrity back then.
Yes, Mr. Roper, for those of you out there, and Paul Dooley in the cast. Wimpy from Popeye.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay, yeah, that's bizarre.
I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a cannonball race today.
Cannonball and Maven. That's the clip we should have used in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Let's start the whole thing over.
No, who's it? Martin Short.
Martin Short on Jeopardy as
on Saturday Night Live.
Burt Reynolds as the Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah, but it's Burt Reynolds. Norm Macdonald is playing Burt Reynolds, and Martin Short is playing Jerry Lewis. And the question is, this 1980 movie, the Cannonball blank or something, and nobody can get it. And then Jerry Lewis, Cannonball and Maven.
Right.
That's a thing we say a lot, folks.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? It's funny.
Paternity. I'm going to track that down. Love me some... I would love some Burt Reynolds, Beverly D'Angelo, Norman Fell action. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sharky's Machine, 1981. We're getting to a point where I haven't seen some of these, but I remember them being on HBO. Didn't watch it, but I remember the title Sharky's Machine.
I remember that movie, and I remember not liking it. That's about it.
You weren't about starting up Sharky's Machine.
I was not.
Let's talk about 1982, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Oh, now there.
As you yawn. There's a movie that gets you excited to yawn, yes.
You got Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise, of course.
Well, Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton star in the film.
Of course, Dolly Parton, but I mean, you have those two. Dolly Parton, you have Charles Durning.
All kinds
of great actors in there.
Yeah.
Jim
Nabors. Yeah. I can't remember his name offhand. Robert Mandarin, who played... who was on Soap. He's in there, the dad from Soap.
Oh.
The patriarch.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, what a great movie.
The one that got kidnapped by the aliens and Soap.
Yeah. But no, that was the guy from Empty Nest, yes. Best Little Whorehouse in Texas is where the song...
Sneaking around with you.
Well, yes. And also, Texas has a whorehouse in it.
Right,
Lord have mercy on us all. But...
that was Watchdog Dom DeLuise.
The Whitney Houston song.
I Will Always Love You,
that everyone knows from The Bodyguard,
which was actually from
the
Best
play,
Little Whorehouse,
which is very odd.
And Dolly Parton song.
Yes, and Dolly Parton, completely different.
It was a big
song.
hit for Dolly Parton when she did it.
But it was a bigger hit for Whitney Houston.
Yes, because Dolly didn't have enough crack to get that hit.
There you go. I was going to say, Whitney Houston gone, Dolly still chugging along. And that's a great movie. I love the Dolly Parton trio of films from the early 80s, 9 to 5, Best Little Whorehouse, and Rhinestone, which I've actually never seen. I know it's
I saw it once, but I will tell you, I saw 9 to 5 it's
on HBO right now. Yeah.
So, not long ago. I was going to say, I was watching it at like 2 in the morning. I haven't seen it in a while, and it's like, wow, this is so hysterical.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Dabney Coleman, if he hasn't gotten a Lifetime Achievement Award yet, he should be getting on soon.
The Dabney Coleman. We'll be here doing a show for him soon. He's like up
Absolutely.
in his late 90s.
He's pushing the gates.
Pushing the gates. Let's see, real quick. Best Friends from 1982 with Goldie Hawn. Another one I remember on HBO. Stroker Ace.
I like that one a lot.
Stroker Ace is
Bubba Smith, baby.
Bubba Smith, Lonnie Anderson, Jim Nabors.
One other movie Bubba Smith did.
Blue Thunder.
There you go.
Police Academy. Police Academy 1, Police Academy 2, Police Academy 3, Police Academy 4. Was Bubba Smith in Blue Thunder, or maybe he was in the TV show version of it? I don't remember.
Probably the TV one, but yeah, he was definitely in...
what is Stroker Ace about? I have not seen that since it came out.
It's yet another car movie, but this one is where they're like racing. They're racers, so they're in the track racing around a circle. But Ned Beatty is a guy named Clyde Torkelson who owns I know, right? Who owns a string of fried chicken franchises, and he is like one of the major advertisers for Stroker's car.
Okay.
And Stroker, of course, being Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
And so at one point, he has Burt Reynolds going around in a chicken outfit, opening up new restaurants, and it's just really funny. Lonnie Anderson, of course, is in that as well.
His wife at the time. Not to be confused with Charles Durning when he owned a chain of French fried frog leg restaurants and tried to get Kermit the Frog to...
Wow.
You remember that?
No, I do not.
Did you ever see the Muppet movie? Did you grow up your childhood and never saw the Muppet movie?
I did see it, but it was a very long time ago.
It wasn't last year in the theater like me.
No,
I saw it. Okay, just wondering.
It was not last year.
So he did Stroker Ace. Cannonball Run 2 was followed by that. Who's this? Who else is in Cannonball Run? A lot of them repeat, but you got Jim Nabors is in it.
Yeah,
Shirley MacLaine. Tony Danza is riding around with a monkey.
That's right, yeah. Right, with the orangutan.
And then they get pulled over, and the cops are Tim Conway and Don Knotts. Amazing.
Right.
Amazing.
Who else is in there?
I don't remember who else is in there, but there's a lot of people in there.
Jamie Farr.
Ricardo Montalban. And at the very end, in his last movie, Frank Sinatra.
Oh, my.
His last film.
There you go.
And then he did City Heat with Eastwood in 1984 with Clint Eastwood.
Don't remember that one.
And then a whole bunch of cop movies, one after another that I've never seen. Stick, Heat, Malone, Rent-A-Cop. He did do a cameo on The Golden Girls.
Really?
Season 2, Episode 2. He's in a movie called Switching Channels, which I really want to see again with Kathleen Turner and Superman.
This isn't one of those ones where they switch bodies.
No.
Okay.
It's like Burt Reynolds is Kathleen Turner's producer at the news network, and there used to be a thing, and then Christopher Reeve comes in, and he's her
still
thing.
walking.
Yeah.
Yes. Time, yeah.
That would have been a great title for a movie. Still Walking
with Christopher Reeve and Christopher Walken.
Wow, folks. If you think that's tasteless, you should hear the joke that was in the first draft of this episode. Boy. Anyway, Kevin, I know you're a big fan of 1989's All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, I am. And wasn't Warren Beatty in that one, too?
No. Dom DeLuise was in it with him.
Yeah, of course. How would I know? I didn't see that.
Here's a credit that I did not know until recently. Do you remember a TV show, I know you don't, called Out of This World, about a little girl who was half alien, and she could put her fingers together and stop time, and her father was back on his home planet, and she would go into her bedroom to talk to him, and this little box would open up.
Oh my God.
It was voiced by Burt Reynolds.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
At first I thought you were talking about the little girl that was like a robot.
No, that's Small Wonder.
Yeah.
This is Out of This World.
No, I don't know that one.
Ran for 4 years. All 4 years I was in high school. Wow. Loved that show, watched it. Never knew it was Burt Reynolds.
No, Kit.
Well, no. Kit was The guy from
St.
another show.
Elsewhere.
St. Elsewhere. Right. There you go.
He's dead too.
You guys just pick out these references wherever you can get. William Daniels was the name of the actor.
How you pulled that up? That's amazing.
Who played Kit? Later played, I believe, Mr. McFeeny on Boy Meets World.
Yes.
And he was in the movie version of 1776. Let's continue.
Wow.
Kevin, please get the quote generator ready for one of our favorite Burt Reynolds movies to quote.
Getting it ready.
1993's Cop and a Half.
Oh boy. You know.
So there was like a thing, and it's still kind of a motif, where you take an action star who's on their way down and put them in some kind of a kid-oriented situation, which is a good idea and leads to funny. Kindergarten Cop, I would say, is probably the shining example of that movie, of that genre, where you take a big action star and put him in some kind of kid-oriented situation. So Cop and a Half is Burt Reynolds, for whatever reason, has to like cart around a little kid who wants to be a cop because he was whatever. But he says at one part, do it, Kevin.
I'm your worst nightmare, an 8-year-old with a badge.
Oh, guys, if he had a quarter of the enthusiasm he usually has.
I'm telling you,
I know.
It just. I'm not a fan of kids being lead roles in movies.
Not a fan of kids being alive.
That's just not. Jungle to Jungle only they just
All right.
barely scratched the surface. But I'm just saying.
I guess maybe the Cop and a Half thing isn't as funny now that we've lost Burt. It's
No.
just not as funny.
And you know what?
How do you think that little kid's taking it this week?
He probably doesn't even remember the movie. He probably blocked it out of his head.
Do you remember Evening Shade, Burt Reynolds sitcom?
I'm
sure
Dom TV show.
Dom DeLuise was there on that somewhere. 98 episodes of that they did.
Wow.
Striptease. Love me some Striptease.
Didn't see it.
And then here's just some of his later credits that he was in, either a celeb or not. Meet Wally Sparks with
That was
Rodney.
a funny movie.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with Rodney Dangerfield.
No. He was in the first Mr. Bean movie.
Oh my! Who also just died recently, I think.
No, he's got a new movie coming out.
Oh, I thought
Mr.
I already
Bean.
died. Oh well.
Don't.
I'm not
Don't
pushing
kill
him in.
Don't kill off Mr. Bean.
I'm not pushing him in the grave. Come on.
He got hit by a train because he had a turkey over his head.
Sure.
Here we go. All right, so Boogie Nights 97.
Great movie.
After Boogie Nights, he did stuff like Mystery Alaska, if you remember that one from 1999. The Crew, where he played like a retired mob boss with Richard Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss.
God. Can you imagine?
Dan Hedaya and Seymour Cassell, whatever his name is. Did a movie called Driven with Sylvester Stallone. Without a Paddle, which is a comedy, which I believe kind of riffs on Deliverance a little bit.
Yeah, and isn't that with Seth?
Yes, Seth Green, Matthew
Yeah,
Lillard.
yeah. I don't think I ever actually did see that movie.
Without a Paddle, Kevin.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what it's
they
called.
were up the creek. What are you going to do?
I believe that's the name of the sequel. Longest Yard from 2005. He was in the Dukes of Hazzard reboot as Boss Hogg.
Sure. Why
I
not?
object, Your Honor.
Boss Hogg.
I object.
I mean, put Ned Beatty as Boss Hogg, maybe, but not Dom DeLuise. I mean, maybe
Dom DeLuise could have played
I was
Boss
to say
Hogg.
maybe Dom DeLuise, but not Burt Reynolds. Come on,
Nobody can play Boss Hogg, but
Boss Hogg.
you got it?
I don't remember that guy.
Sorrel Brook.
Oh my God! Wow. If there's anyone out there with a pulse, Mr. Ed here that's just the
Sorrel
reference.
Brook.
I don't even know I can't even imagine.
He
where
was
that came
in
from. Where did that information come
Toby
from?
Keith's movie, The Broken Bridges, that no one saw, including my wife, who's a huge Toby Keith fan.
Right, Toby Keith hasn't
Seen it. One of his last movies, not his last movie, that I've been telling you about was a film called The Last Movie Star, 2017, which would have been a beautiful swan song. Is that the right phrase I'm looking for him? Really quick, we got to go here, but Last Movie Star is on Amazon. You should look that up and watch it if you really want to say goodbye to Burt. He plays an aging, end of his career movie star. Not Burt Reynolds, but might as well be Burt Reynolds. And they use a ton of archival Burt Reynolds photographs, interviews, film clips.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't like a mind-blowing film, but it was really good. And now that he's gone, it was a very beautiful, nice au revoir to Burt Reynolds. So that's our little tribute to Burt Reynolds, which mostly consisted of us talking about Dom DeLuise, Cannonball Run, and then reading off a list of his credits. Burt Reynolds.
And just stay aware out there in WYFM land, because I am starting a festival which will meet every year on the day he died, September 6th, right? Is that the date?
Yes.
We're gonna have a Burt Reynolds festival. It's going to be called the Ren Fest, and it's going to be a big hit. So keep your eyes out for that Ren Fest, and just look for Burt Reynolds.
It'll mostly just be me and Kevin talking about Dom DeLuise and reading off a list of his credits, and then we'll watch Smokey and the Bandit.
And then we'll shove pies in each other's crotches while we laugh.
I didn't even have time to get to the part where my friend had a foreign exchange student from France, and we put the DVD of Smokey and the Bandit in and watched it in French for her.
Oh, God, yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, yeah, you were there for that. So there you go. Folks, join us on Twitter at WYF Movie Podcast. Myself, you can find me at Ed South. You want to plug your Twitter handle? You don't even know it?
I don't use it anymore. It was Keviander 2 or something like that. I don't even use it anymore. But what I would like to plug is my Backstage page. If you'd like to see that, just look me up, Kevin Joel Anderson, on Backstage or IMDb, and check out the podcast.
Folks, that's it. It's khaki wishes and cookie dreams. See you next time. Thanks.